Hello everybody, back here again for Vlog a Day.
1.5 miles, keep left.
And today is Thursday the 30th, and today was a lovely, beautiful day to be alive. Got this morning about an hour before I really needed to get up for the puppy, so ungodly early. Was up and around. I was like, God, I'm just gonna try and go back to sleep. I couldn't do it, so I just got up and said, hell with it. Started getting a couple things done. Puppy showed up. Basically got him chilled out, played with him for a while, got on the computer to download the rest of my podcast and update my phone and all that good fun stuff before I head up to Iowa. Definitely took way longer than it should. I got to get a new computer. My Mac is just actively dying. It's probably, 7 or 10 years old. It's way past its accessible life or life it should be using. So went ahead, said to hell with it. Was able to get that finally done. Karen got up, so I was able to start making a little more noise, got a few things around, took care of a couple things here and there, started kind of packing a little bit here and there, getting ready to go. Had to get a couple of things done. Once she got out of the house, moved the car out of the way, I put the truck in the driveway, threw it up on ramps, started changing the oil because I wanted to get the oil changed in the truck, and got that all taken care of. Wasn't a real big deal, just I wanted to do it for the trip, so I got it topped off. Grabbed a couple extra quarts of oil because I use a full synthetic, and often in case I run short, whatever, on the trip, I want to have my extra with me, so I have the exact same matched oil in the truck. I do all my own oil changes, so I just take a Sharpie marker and write on my mirror when my next oil change is due, and I change my oil more often than I actually need to with the full synthetic, but just it's better to be a little ahead than it is behind, I guess, in that process. So got that taken care of. Wasn't the easiest thing to do because my arm's still super raw and super tender, crawling in and out underneath the truck and whatnot, which is pretty funny because I actually have these arm sleeves. They're used for running that. A lot of times you use them when you're running for like an early morning race or an early morning run when it's chilly out. So you have them on, then as the race warms up, whatever, you can pull them off and either throw them in your back pocket, or a lot of people just throw them away, which are like $6 a piece, $10 a piece when I'm trying to buy. So I'm not the guy who throws those things away, but went ahead and used one of those to help kind of protect my arm crawling underneath the truck and whatnot and all the fun stuff. Went ahead and changed my wiper blades because I knew it was probably going to rain and all the fun that comes with it. I haven't changed my wiper blades for a little while, so I knew they needed to be changed. Got the windshield cleaned one last time. I think I've got a tiny little antifreeze leak because my windshield gets a oily film on it, and it's just, I'm certain it's antifreeze. The heater core is leaking a tiny little bit. There's always a little bit of a sweet smell sometimes in the morning, especially if I run the defrost on heat to try and defog the window. It takes a little longer than it should, but it is what it is. So I keep checking my fluids and stuff, and about every, 20,000 or so, maybe 30,000 miles, I gotta put a little bit of water in it. So I don't know if I'm burning it through or it's leaking out. Most likely, I guess it's leaking out of there. So, I never seen any white puff or nothing on my exhaust. So I don't think I had a head gasket leak or nothing, but went ahead, and as I was putting things in the truck, getting things all loaded up, getting things ready to go, playing with the dog, taking him out, stuff, making sure he's all entertained. Went to grab my toolbox, and it's like, nah, I don't need my toolbox. I'm like, what am I going to do? Change, parts on the side of the interstate? Like, I have to get to a parts store anyway to buy parts and whatnot. I won't need the toolbox. And every trip I take my toolbox, and I never use it. I rarely ever have anything break down and stuff. I'm like, son of a bitch. So, went ahead, got things taken care of. I was in that kind of figuring out where I was taking off, when I was going to take off and that. And I wanted to leave by 3 was my goal, to be on the road by 3. I got a couple other things done. It's that weird time frame where I'm done. And part of me is like, I should try and lay down and take a nap. So I got 4 hours of sleep, whatever it was. And I've got 24 hours of drive time coming up. It's like 19 hours of actual driving, but you figure you're going to have extra time for stops for fuel and that. And I usually pull over and get a nap on the trip back. But I went ahead and said, hell with it, I should be fine. And I thought, instead of trying to get a nap, it never works. My brain doesn't shut off when I know I'm going to take a trip. And I said, hell with it, and just thought, I'm going to take off early. So I built the puppy some treats. I stuffed like treats and stuff, different bones and whatnot inside boxes for him. He loves tearing up cardboard boxes. Keeps him entertained in that so he doesn't tear up my furniture and whatnot. So I went ahead and even stuck a couple of those like really good chew toys inside the Kongs and whatnot, and had that all set up and ready to go. So I had them all hidden there. I had them, basically up on the shelf so you couldn't get to them. Right before I took off, the last thing I put in the truck was the cooler. Plugged it all in and whatnot, and the cooler wasn't coming on. I'm like, I'm a little low on voltage. I'm like, what the hell's up with that? So that's kind of weird, but I was like, oh, maybe my battery's taking a crap on me, but the battery I don't think is that old. I think I've replaced the battery in this truck. I might not have. If I haven't, it needs one. because I've had this truck for 4 years or so now, something like that. And I'm pretty certain I put a battery in here already, but we'll see. And I went ahead and started the truck up, and then the freezer working fine. I'm like, okay, cool, whatever. So let the truck run for a little bit as I finish loading things. I always put the freezer in last. I pre-cool it in the house, plugged in the wall, so it gets down to like -8, -6, where the hell it is. And it's super cold, so I have all my stuff in it. I dropped in my extra sodas. I put in a little bit of milk and some water and all that and then basically headed out. Got the dog in. Basically, I took him for my run. Got him quite a bit of exercise, took him for a run and a walk, both kind of thing. Got back, got my shower, and then I jumped in the truck and I headed out. Talked to my wife, and it was a little bit after 1 o'clock, like 1:15, something like that. I took off, let her know I was heading out, and basically just headed north and drove. I got everything was going good. The drive was it's a long, boring ass drive, so I'm just listening to podcasts and just chilling here on the road. And it says I should get in at like 6:30 or 7 a.m. sometimes. Should we get in about 7 a.m. 6:30, 7 a.m. is when I'd roll in. If there was no stops for fuel, no stops for food, no stops for restroom, none of that, just straight shot through. That's the earliest I would get there. And I'm like, that's not gonna happen. So my goal was noon, is what I was shooting for, is to get there around noon. That would give me enough time, give me like 6 hours to grab a little nap, and then the rest of the time for fuels and whatnot. So, and I brought snacks. I always bring snacks and drinks and that stuff. Went ahead, said held it, and I got to Jacksonville area, and as I was going by a truck, I heard like a really weird, like a screechy sound. I was like, that's kind of a weird ass sound. That don't make any sense. Like, what the hell is that? And I thought, well, it's coming from that guy's truck, I bet, because I didn't hear it until he's right next to me. And I think what it was, and I look back on it now, was the alternator bearing, I think, went out on my alternator. And it was squealing, but I didn't hear it until it ricocheted off the side of his truck and back into my truck. And that's why as I went past the truck, it didn't have that same sound as if it sounded as an echo. And I realized, I thought it was his truck. I'm like, I don't think it is. I'm like, whatever. So I went ahead, I was driving along, was chatting with my mom on the phone and stuff, just kind of talking to her to kind of break up some of the boredom of the drive, and just cruising along, made it past Jacksonville, got up by a little town called Lake City, and I happened to notice that I dash, and my truck needs a alignment, so my steering wheel kind of hangs a little left, it wants to pull the right, so I got to kind of turn left the whole time on it. And I haven't got it fixed because I don't drive this truck that often, that far, so it's really not that big a deal. And I'm like, it's an old truck, so it's not a real problem. And like, if I let go of the wheel like right now and stuff, I'm still going straight, right now, and then I have to grab the wheel right about now, and it starts to pull off the road. So it's not that bad. But here's the problem I realized. When I have the wheel turned that little bit, that extra arm of my 4-spoke steering wheel blocks my voltmeter gauge, which again, I'm not certain how much I would have been watching that gauge to begin with, kind of thing in the process. But I was like, okay, we'll see what happens. And my dummy light on my dash came on, showing a battery. And I was like, great, there's where we're at in the whole process. So went ahead and basically I was like, okay, so I got to figure something out. So I was on the phone with Mom. I said, hey, my battery's going dead. I didn't realize. She thought I meant on my phone. I meant on my truck. So I basically turned off everything. I plugged the freezer. I, made sure everything's off. I basically turned off every single electronic. I turned off the air conditioning. Anything that would take, electricity, I removed from the draw. And I have an amp meter inside here also. And I was watching it pretty close. And then when I first looked at it, it was like 12.4, I think, something like that, or 12.1 when I first saw it. I'm like, okay, that's not great, but voltmeter was down at like, below 10. Like, it was way down there. It was like above 9, but below 10. And I was like, on the truck itself, it's like, oh crap, I think I've lost an alternator at least. And I had the little false hope that maybe it was just a belt, because I know the truck's serpentine, but some of them run a secondary serpentine for like just the alternator, just the water pump kind of thing. And I was like, I don't think this truck has anything. It's a full serpentine, it runs everything. And since I still had air conditioning, it wouldn't be the belt. But I was like, oh, whatever. So I basically looked on the phone real quick and found on the maps nearest parts store. So I basically found O'Reilly's, there's a Napa, and I think an AutoZone, like all within like a block of each other in a little town. So I headed that way, excuse me, pulled off the interstate. And then I thought, well, I'm going to call them real quick and verify they actually can test an alternator on the truck without having to pull it out and stuff. Called, the lady was really nice on the phone. She goes, oh, absolutely, sweetie, we can do that, blah, blah, whatever. And it's okay, cool. So I went ahead and headed that direction, parked way off on the side, so I wasn't like right in front of their door and whatnot. So I had to change the alternator out right there. Got in there, and on the way in, I stopped real quick to make sure it wasn't something dumb, like I threw a belt or something underneath. So I popped the hood, and nope, it was belt still all there and hanging. I'm like, okay, I gotta head in. So, and even on the road, I rolled the windows down just like an inch apiece, so I got a little bit of air in here, and I opened the back slider glass window, but I didn't want to roll the windows down very far, so when the battery dies, I can't roll the windows back up. So now I'm kind of stuck with my windows down on my truck, and that's not what I want to have happen. So I basically get to this dealer, I get to the parts store, I go in, tell them what's going on, she comes back out, hooks the meter up to it, and she can't get it to hold onto the side post of battery, because it's the side post battery in this truck. And so I was like having to hold it by hand and stuff, and I had to go start the truck. So I basically fired the truck up, had to turn on the headlights and stuff, and we got it basically tested out, and said my voltage regulator is out, which is built into the whole name of this truck. So I said, okay, hopefully you guys got one in stock, and I said, you guys have some tools I can borrow. She goes, absolutely, we have a rental program, but since you're here in the parking lot, you don't have to rent. So basically, it's a security deposit is what it is for the other parts. But they have a handful of just random sockets and wrenches and screwdrivers and stuff. A bunch of flat screwdrivers, not a single Phillips. I didn't see a single Phillips in that pile, but I kind of lapsed and stuff. Went in there. All in there's bad. They had a new one for like $250 lifetime warranty, a reman for like $180 lifetime warranty, and then a shitty reman for $105 or $115 with a 1-year warranty. I said, give me the lifetime reman and go from there. She couldn't find it. The inventory's all screwed up there and stuff. So she basically was told by the manager to sell me the brand new one for the reman price. I said, I'll pay the full price. Like, I don't mind the extra money. Like, I don't want to get in trouble and stuff. She goes, nope, that's no problem. That's the boss lady there. She told me to do it. So I said, okay. So I bought it. She didn't charge me a cord, nothing. So I was going to walk in the core right back in. I wasn't leaving the parking lot with nothing. So I went ahead and we were all good. I basically was headed out there. She only pulled the truck up closer to the driveway in front of the building. I don't know if to watch their tools a little bit better or what it was. So, and part of the part that sucks, I was like, I just do what they say because I'm using their stuff. But now my truck's sideways and I don't have any shade for my hood. Where I was parked before, the sun was the back of my truck giving me shade under my hood, but it wasn't the case there. So went ahead and just kind of had to do what I had to do. So chilled out, was able to start swapping the alternator out. It took me about a half an hour to swap the alternator out. Ended up scraping my forearm up where it's all raw from the road rash. I got it all scraped up, and that kind of sucked. Luckily, it didn't bleed, but it hurt pretty good. Not nearly as bad as the day of the working with my father-in-law and opening that wheelchair up. Man, that thing, all that made me hurt real bad. So got the alternator changed out, went back in, turned into my parts and stuff, gave him back all the tools, gave him the core back, all that good fun things. Thanked them so much for all the work they've done. I said, please thank the other lady I was talking to, make sure she knows. The lady that I was in there laughing about, she actually, when I went to get the cart full of tools, so everybody, I told her to take the cart, she kind of did the whole barking thing. She's like, arr, arr, like she's getting stuff. I said, oh, great, thank you. Now I just paid a little. Thanks for that. And then everybody in the place laughs, and we were just having a good time with it. And I'm trying to keep it lighthearted because what the hell? I should be able to fix this. If everything goes right, it should be fine. I'm trying to be cheerful. I'm on a 24-hour drive, but I'm delayed extra time. It is what it is. Who cares? We're all good. So went ahead, basically got this. She thanked me for being so kind and so, courteous and so, pleasant to deal with. She goes, if our customers were half as nice as you, our lives would be a whole lot easier here and everything else stuff. And I was like, it just sucks that people have to have a mental health, a mental toothache their whole life. Like everything just sucks in their life. They're just miserable people. So I said, I'm just happy to be alive. I said, I had just, literally 45 days ago and stuff, I was damn near killed by a car when I was rear-ended by a motorcycle, and just kind of happy to be alive. Like, I'm happy I'm healthy enough to be able to drive here and get my mother, all that kind of thing. So I got back on the road, and I lost about 90 minutes is what I lost in the whole process. So it took me about an hour to get off the interstate and get the part bought, and then basically half an hour to change it out and then get back on the road, and I was good to go. So super happy about that, and then kept on driving, stopped and got some fuel, let everybody else know that I was back up and going on the road. Everything was good. I was moving along just fine. So excited to be able to fix it. And the fact that I was able to fix it, I knew how to fix it. It was super easy. I guarantee if I pulled into one of those little truck repair / trailer places right on the side of the interstate, it would have been, $500 if they could have even got me in there. Like, it would have been just a lot, in the process. So went ahead, headed back in, kept driving through the night, getting dark, had a little bit of rain here and there and stuff, not too bad. Went ahead and stopped in and got some fuel at one of the little truck stop / place that had a Dairy Queen and a Wendy's both. And I haven't had Dairy Queen in forever. I'll grab one of their, meat chicken meals or something, whatever, and try to get like their chicken nuggets. And the guy's like, oh no, it's too late. We don't do that. I'm like, so you just do ice cream that's late? He goes, oh no, we do real food too. And I'm like, okay, then I'll take the chicken sandwich stuff. And he goes, oh no, we don't do the chicken. I'm like, okay, what the hell? He goes, well, we do hot dogs. And I'm like, okay, that's not real food. But I didn't want to eat a hot dog. I'm not a hot dog fan. I'll eat a chili dog every now and then, but it's too messy, and I don't really want to eat a chili dog on the road because they're not usually the healthiest for your belly kind of thing in the whole process, and I want to be out here dealing with an upset stomach, traveling the road. So I said, I'll just go to Wendy's. Got into Wendy's, and like the trash is stacked like a foot higher than the can. Like they don't empty their trash can and stuff. It's kind of gross and kind of dirty in there. And I was sitting there stuff for 7 minutes. It took there was two guys waiting There was 5 guys ahead of me, and the guy was there was 7 minutes for him to actually get his order, let him come take his order and stuff. And I'm like, holy crap, this is taking forever. And I realized the fact that it was been 10 minutes, and the 2 guys on the far right that are waiting, they hadn't even gotten their food yet. So they've been there for who knows how long. I've been there for 10 minutes, and I saw there's a drive-thru. I'll just go to the drive-thru. So a lot of times drive-thrus are way faster. So I went back out, got in the truck, went to pull up the drive-thru, and noticed one of the cars that I had noticed it kind of had a weird thing to it that kind of drew my attention. And I noticed it was there when I pulled up to get fuel, and it only moved up 3 spots. And I'm like, nope, I'm out. I'm like, I'll just eat some snacks and shit in the car. I got, snacks and stuff with me. I always bring snacks on the trips. So I went ahead and basically just headed on out, filled up another soda, which was funny because I went 7 hours with one 24-ounce soda, and I drink all the time. Like, I'm drinking way more fluids than that most of the time and whatnot. And that was not the case today, which partly because I was, the alternator stuff in my brain and trying to take care of that. I think I didn't drink as much as I should have. I'd ran out of fluid, but once I'd stopped, I didn't think to fill up the drink when I was changed the alternator out. And I didn't want to pull back over again until I gave my battery fully time to get fully charged back up. And the voltmeter was reading at like 12.8, 12.9 eventually. Finally got up to like 13.1. And I was like, okay, cool. I'm getting enough power. I'm at like 13.4 is my max I had. I'm charging about 14 on the actual motor itself, but getting to the actual full system where the freezer and stuff's being, running the 12-volt freezer and that, it's getting about 13.4. So I'm pretty excited about the fact that it's working well and we're all good to go. So yeah, I got back on the road, went ahead and chilled out there, was able to basically keep on cruising on the road for a while. I was trying to get in. I kind of had a general idea of how late I wanted to drive, but I was tired. I was yawning a lot, and I definitely was it was not the best for me. I was like, I think I'm gonna pull over here. So I actually pulled over way earlier than I normally would. And it just, like I said, I didn't sleep real great last night, and everything else I did today. And I think a lot of it, just the extra, the tailbone hurts and stuff, and my arm hurts, and I'm not doing the greatest. So I went ahead and said, hell with it, pulled over, decided to actually, excuse me, went ahead and climbed in the bed of my truck with the topper. I had some extra blankets to wrap mom's stuff up in that in, and went ahead and basically laid down like a little bed back there with a couple blankets. It was not the most comfortable because the bed liner is pretty rough, but I was able to get some sleep. I felt it's way better to stretch my body out than to try and like sleep in the seat. My butt and my tailbone already hurts to do, so I gotta get myself off of there. Super loud, all the semis. They had the semis parked with the cars on the same side, and it was just loud. So I didn't get much sleep there, but I got some sleep. Got up, headed on in. I did text my wife my location and whatnot in case something happens, she could find me, whatever. Because I turned my phone on airplane mode, so I didn't want to get woke up. If I did actually get a little sleep, I needed that rest the most I could. Got woke up a couple times throughout the little bit of napping time there. Gave up, got up, headed on down the road a ways. Drove for probably another 4 hours like that, maybe 3 hours. I don't know. I drove for a while more, and it was just yawning again like crazy. I was like, I realized I was getting too tired. I need to pull over again. So I pulled over to a rest stop, found a spot, and basically crawled in the back of the truck again and took another nap. So I ended up having 2 little naps, not like middle of the night, and it worked out well. Got back up, and basically that was my day. So Karen had to go over and get the key to one of the dogs that she has to walk for me tomorrow, Saturday, Sunday, then Monday morning on our way to work. She'll have to walk it again. So she'll have to walk it once Friday during the day, and then she'll have to walk it in the weekend, or after work Friday, then the weekend 3 times, and then she'll walk it on the way to work Monday. So hopefully it's not too much of a pain in the butt for her for taking care of that part. But they finally got me added to the Rover account, which I got the email. I turned on my cell data on my emails. I usually don't check email stuff when I'm on the road on my phone. But I checked it, and they finally got me added to the Rover account. So now it's going to be easier when people see both of us are the people watching the dog, not just her. So it should be easier dealing with customers and stuff that way as well. So that was the good news. Didn't crash, none of that kind of stuff. Didn't fall asleep. I had a crazy dream last night overnight that I woke up that I was in a massive wreck in the mountains. And I drive through a little bit of mountains here, not massive, like not Rockies or nothing, but I had a massive dream that we were like a 13-car pile up, and like to the point that I was wrecked hard enough that I actually came to consciousness in the truck. Like the wreck was bad enough that I was unconscious. And ironically, it was my red Chevy, which is a year or 2 older than this one. I can't remember I don't remember what year this is. I know that one's a 2000. I think this is a 2001 or 2002, but I think it's a 2002, I think. So, but it's virtually the same truck. Ironically, the same seats. I took the seats out of that one and put in here, so I like them better than the ones in here. But went ahead and I was like, I told my wife about that dream that I had. I rear-ended a semi and got rear-ended by other people, and there was clearly deaths in some of the vehicles and stuff. So I had this like premonition of, holy crap, I may be in a massive wreck. And then on top of that, I told myself, oh, I don't need my damn tools. Oh, am I going to do breakdown? And then I had that thought in my truck, the battery was low, that I thought my battery was going bad. It turned out to be the alternator instead. So I kind of have a little bit of that psychic. Every once in a while I have some weird shit, which when my alternator went out, that I got super superstitious about the whole dream about the crash. And I was like, oh, I got to be super protective. So I didn't let myself drive tired like I often will. So, but I'm still alive, and that's the most important part. So anyway, guys, all I got for right now. I will talk to you guys tomorrow. Have yourself a safe, wonderful day. Thanks for watching.